Neighbors want to use my pool. Hello, on mobile. Me, F25, and my BF, M29, moved into our home 2 Septembers ago. I have a neighbor who is retired and has boundary issues. Our properties are separated by hedge, so she can hear me but not see me. Oftentimes, she will yell over the hedge if she knows I am there. And I mean yell. Until I answer her. Once I had guests in my yard and she walked up to my fence, opened it, and entered, uninvited. I was livid. The first year I lived here was fall, so she couldn't ask about the pool. Last year she asked me often to use it with her grandchildren, and since I am an essential worker I used COVID as an excuse. But now that COVID is dissipating where I live, I am dreading the question. I do not want to piss her off because, as I mentioned, she's a bit strange. I fear she may lash out in some way. Such as calling by law on me for silly things. I really don't want to ever have her in my pool, and she makes me and my boyfriend uncomfortable, and I don't want to escalate the situation. I understand that she was best friends with the previous owner and this is their first and only home, so perhaps she thinks this behavior is acceptable. But these things are incredibly inappropriate in my opinion. Any advice to let her down gently but also so this conversation never happens again would be appreciated. Edit. Thanks so much for all of the advice. I will definitely get a motion sensor camera and a no trespassing sign. If she does ask me again, I am going to say I don't feel comfortable due to liability, etc. Hopefully she'll also stop yelling at me in my yard because of this lol. Hell no. Tell her hell no. If someone gets hurt, they can sue you. Screw that noise. Put up signs, cameras, and put a lock on your fence door or whatever it is. If she gives you hell, call the cops. Call the cops every single time. She's a big liability. You need to add security cameras, a no trespassing sign, and verbally or in writing let her know she is not allowed on your property when you are not around, and even then, by invitation only. If you don't speak up and she uses the pool and something happens, you will be held liable. Make sure your fence is in line with what's required to secure pools according to your insurance company. I have found that just giving a firm, no thank you, is an effective response to people with boundary issues. She will almost certainly follow up wanting to know why, and all you do is keep repeating, no thank you. Definitely tell her no. By law, you are responsible for anything that happens in your pool. If one of her grandchildren gets hurt or, God forbid, drowns, you will be held liable. Even if she was the one watching them at the time. Even if they don't have your permission and they sneak in. She or the kid's parents could sue you for anything that happens. You should replace that hedge, and any other fencing you have, with a privacy fence that can't be climbed. I understand that she was best friends with the previous owner. It sucks that she and her grandkids probably got used to using the pool all summer because of that relationship, but her friends sold their home and now she's just going to have to deal with it. You have a pool? You need a fence. If someone drowns in your pool, you are legally liable, permission granted or not. You have to firmly tell her no, with no room for negotiation. A camera with a notification app wouldn't be out of line. Depending on where you live, you can give her a trespass notice and file it with the local police, so that if she comes onto your property uninvited, you could have her charged with trespassing. Also, make triple sure what your liability insurance covers. We have a pool and had a neighbor ask if his son could swim sometime. We just straight up said no, it's a liability for us. Don't allow it even one time. No. Just no. It's your property. Make sure to get cameras and stuff so if anything ever happens you have evidence. When you talk to her, say something along the lines of, I understand that you don't mean any harm, but I am uncomfortable with the idea of you on my property. Please stay off it and respect our boundaries. Make sure to not say sorry, it only gives her more ammunition. Just a thought, I suspect the prior homeowners were not best friends with your neighbors. She just said they were because she wants to use your pool and wanted to use their pool. Also, if you do not want her to use your pool, say no. Tell her your insurance won't allow uninvited guests to use it. See if that registers with her. Everyone saying that no as a complete sentence is right. But, since you will continue to be neighbors with this person for a while, it would be worthwhile to be forthright with her at least once. Can we use your pool? Hey neighbor, I'm sorry but no. I appreciate that you were friends with the prior owners and were probably in this yard a lot. But we can't extend the same invitation. By the way, boyfriend and I value our privacy when we're here in the backyard, so I hope you understand if we're not talking over the fence. But if I see you out front, I'll be sure to say hi. Sorry, but no, I am not comfortable with that. Sorry, no can do, it is being cleaned. Sorry, no, now is not a good time. Sorry, no, my insurance does not cover children in the pool. Sorry, no, the water is not clean. I saw your edits. The no trespassing sign is passive-aggressive in my opinion, and people who manipulate will pick that up as a sign of weakness. When she asks, say no. If she asks why, tell you don't have to explain yourself, but the answer is no. If she keeps pushing, tell her no again, and if you catch her on your property, you're calling the police. Also tell her you have no interest in being her friend. Say it firmly and without explanation. Stare at her silently once your message has been relayed if she keeps talking. Stand your ground and don't fall into her games. She will walk away and you'll never hear from her again. Ah hell, number 1. As other people mentioned, this is a huge liability legally too. If you give her on an inch on this, who knows what she is going to want next. Start demanding. You let them swim last time, why not this time? Kind of questions. You might have her plan some sort of pool party for their b-day. Who the heck knows the possibilities of her entitlement? Do not do it. This would escalate things, but I'd use a water gun on her anytime she gets too close to the hedge to berate you. She's entitled, and I hope that your boyfriend wises up and supports you better. If she or her friends and/or relatives use your pool, with or without your permission, and one of them gets hurt or dies, she can sue you for damages for negligence. If she is as crazy or willful as you say, she will file a lawsuit. Tell her, no, due to legal reasons, and then do everything in your power to prevent her and those visiting her to prevent her from coming over and using your pool. That involves signs, cameras, locks, fences, etc. Document everything. Inform the police and a lawyer every time she attempts to violate what you have laid down. I am sorry you moved next door to a crazy person. This is a huge burden to you on an emotional and financial level. But, it is better than having debt for the remainder of your life. I am sorry this happened to you. If you're in America, I hear you guys are legally liable for all kinds of hospital bills if you use each other's stuff, so just use that as an excuse. If you're somewhere else that has universal healthcare, just go with, no, I don't like people to use the pool, so that's not happening. I know it sounds childish, but, I just don't like it. Is impossible for people to bargain around. Also, get a goose. No, my insurance doesn't cover uninvited guests. And I think you're overstepping being a good neighbor by even asking me such a thing. My partner and I won't tolerate any trespassing on our property. Then walk away giving her a dirty look and in a huff. If she has the nuts to even ask you this, then you can't be easy or nice to her. This is a person who doesn't play by societal rules, or even know what they are. You have no plans to be friends with her, so go full bore right out the gate. There are just some people you cannot be nice to. And I would put up the no trespassing sign as well. Start nude sunbathing. No, in all seriousness, everyone on here is right with the liability aspect of it. And she is rude to even ask or assume she is entitled to use of your property. Good luck, pensive face. You know, the vaccine don't make COVID disappear. It just help you not get really sick. But even that is not a 100% guarantee. You can and should still use that as an excuse. Hi, former municipal employee here. She can be fined for making frivolous bylaw infraction complaints as it constitutes harassment. Put a lock on your fence gate. Do not allow her or her family to enter your property. Explain that your insurance does not cover her usage. You have to be firm. Just say, I'm not comfortable with that, and hold your ground. You don't have to justify anything further. With a smile. No, I'm afraid that won't be possible. Rephrase as often as needed. No explanation necessary. I can't guarantee it won't keep coming up, but just tell her flatly that you cannot assume the liability for her or her grandchildren using your pool. And make sure you have adequately locked it off so you can't be accused of negligence. No is a complete sentence. Stand firm. When someone is okay with disrespecting your boundaries, it's okay to stop being so polite. You don't have to be nasty, a simple no will suffice. Do not explain, justify, or defend your decision, it will just give her something to argue back over. I'm sorry you cannot use my pool and I would really appreciate it if you would stop asking. I'm sorry, that won't be possible. We will not be sharing the pool. Do not budge. Do not have a mushy conversation about liability. She pushes the boundaries because she gets away with it. If you present a brick wall, she will be shut down. Sometimes you can be polite with neighbors, other times silence is golden. I have a pool. Keep all your gates locked, up your insurance coverage and tell her no swimming because if someone gets hurt you don't want to be responsible. Cameras and no trespassing signs are good too. Tell her your homeowner's insurance will not cover her or any of her family if they get injured, so no they can't use it, and if she ignores you put a lock on your side of the fence. I wish I had $1 for every story I have read on the internet regarding someone's pool. For some reason, they turn neighbors into complete assholes. Be firm, you gotta defend yourself or this person won't understand. Don't use violence though. We have a neighbor who used to be best friends with the previous owner of our house and thinks that gives her the right to walk through our yard, dump trash in the woods in our backyard, and do whatever she pleases with our property. She actually got mad when we told her we would prefer if she didn't dump her yard waste because we have a toddler and it brings critters out of the woods. She tried to tell me there was an easement that runs through my yard that lets her walk through to the back. You bet your ass I went to the township and pulled the plat maps. No easement. We told her to take a hike. Now I've got a neighbor that hates me but whatever, can't please them all. Keep this lady out of your yard, it's dangerous especially with a pool. And shame on her for thinking this is appropriate. 2 Septembers ago, a pallet of chocolate-covered pretzels, a desk of Cheez-Its, a hammock of cake. You can still use COVID as an excuse. It's not completely gone. I would tell her no first for the liability issue like everyone said. But secondly if you were to say yes she and her grandkids would start camping out in your yard daily for the whole summer. I bet you with school out and the parents working, those kids would be at grandma's and in your pool every day. Is there a town pool or beach you can suggest she sign up for instead? She better make sure she signs up now. The ones near me sold out last summer because of COVID. Towns and beaches became very territorial. Put a lock on your gate. When she yells ignore her. Your pool is private. Post a no trespassing sign. I would pull the safety card on her. Should anything happen, it will be your responsibility as it happened on your property. Should she persist, just give her a firm no, and say you are not comfortable with it. Anything beyond that you feel is invasive, get law enforcement involved. Such as calling bylaw on me for silly things. I'm 100% her yelling violates a bylaw. No, you are legally liable if anything happens to them on your property. Get a motion detector camera and set it up out there. Unfortunately you are going to have a difficult conversation regarding boundaries and make sure to film and document any harassment that follows. Learn to say no. Yeah, I would say the same thing that too, or just not comfortable with her or any of her family using the pool. Imagine if something were to happen. She falls breaking a hip or the grandkids hurting themselves on your property. That's a whole set of problems that no one wants to deal with. Besides, why do something that makes you uncomfortable just to make someone else feel little comfort? You say yes to this, then who knows what she'll ask for in the future. It's just better to set the boundary lines now so at least she knows where she stands and there's no games being played back forth. Your insurance company will thank you for not letting randoms use your space, especially when you're not there. I think you can also get motion detector alarms that float in the oil and sound of someone or something, like an animal, jumps, falls in. Your neighbor is wacky. Tell her no, they are not going to use your pool and you will call the police if they try. Remember, if someone gets hurt or drowns they are not going to sue her, they are going to sue you. Most of the time you can be polite and people will understand. It doesn't sound like this is one of those times. Tell her no and lock your gate. Do not give in to a bully, it only encourages more bad behavior. More people in your pool means more chemicals are needed to keep the water levels accurate. Therefore your cost goes up. Kids are in and out of the pool like deranged jackrabbits, tracking grass and dirt into the pool, which means you'll be cleaning more often and needing more chemicals again. They also love to squeal and shout, so if you're home, even inside, you'll get to hear that even if you don't want to. And when it's not your kids screeching and yelling, it's not very endearing or enjoyable. And then there's the liability risk. There's nothing but negatives for you in this. Never give an entitled boundary stomper an inch. They'll take a mile before you know it. There's a pool share app now. Tell the neighbors to use that to find a pool where the owners don't care about the liability. If someone drowns while you're away, guess who will get sued because you didn't do enough to stop them from getting in? Get the locks, cameras, no trespassing signs, and flat out tell her any privileges that she with the previous owner are gone. Tell her you got the cameras and will press charges against anyone who trespasses onto your property. She needs to save for her own pool if she wants to spend that time in one. I had a home with a pool and my neighbor sent their kids over unsupervised. It stressed me out, bad. It ended the relationship. Set some ground rules and don't share your pool. Cameras need to be put up ASAP. Next thing you know, she might try to get into your house and take stuff. The pool is a huge liability, and if anything happens I 100% guarantee her entitled ass will try to legally screw you over 15 ways from Sunday. Post no trespassing signs on your gates, and set up a camera to record you telling her, and maybe even a certified letter, because if this goes legal you have to have hard proof of telling her no, in no uncertain terms, that you do not want her, or her grandchildren, or anyone else entering your property. If they do they will be criminally trespassed. Then put security cameras around your house. I know you already have done some of this, but I'm listing it out to reinforce your decisions. You needed to nip this shit in the bud the first time she barged in or asked. That was the best time to do it, the second best time is now.